Stutthof was the first concentration camp established on occupied territory. Its founding date is thought to be as early as the 22nd of September, 1939, the year following the attack on Poland. The first prisoners were the Gdańsk intelligentsia members, followed by Polish war prisoners and civilians. The camp expanded rapidly, occupying almost 120 hectares of land by 1944. What happened on those hectares defies comprehension even now. The Stutthof concentration camp system was one of the Nazi war's crimes. Prison conditions and prisoners. Until June 1945, the main prisoners in the camp were Poles, Polish Jews, and Germans, sent for education for minor infractions. The Germans had prison sentences ranging from 15 to 70 days. It is true that many did not live to see their release. Officially, 120,000 people in total passed through the camp, of whom 80,000 were exterminated. However, this figure is considered and underestimated, as on more than one occasion unregistered prisoners, usually of Jewish ethnicity, were brought in for extermination. In general, the camp was completely international. These were Jews from all over Europe, Poles and Soviet citizens, both war prisoners and those taken away for various reasons. There were even Norwegian policemen who refused to swear allegiance to the pro-fascist government. And after the assassination attempt on Hitler, Wehrmacht officers suspected in the attempt were held in a separate section. Immediately upon arrival, the prisoners were sorted. Those who could not work, the elderly, the sick, and adolescents were immediately sent to the gas chamber. This is what Sholmer Resnick said about the sorting. "We were standing in rows, and the German would go around and see who wouldn't work. 14-year-old children like me were sent to the gas chambers. My father put sand in my shoes to make me taller. A German stopped beside me and asked me how old I was. I said, 17 and a half. The German said, 'That sounds about right,' and left me alone." The conditions in the camp were dreadful. Prisoners were forbidden to speak their own language, forbidden to call each other by their first names. The guards themselves addressed the prisoners as bastards. The slightest offense was followed by cruel punishment, from beating to death to shooting. The sick and weak were killed by phenol and other poisonous injections, or sent to the gas chambers. There were both men and women in the camp. The women were assigned to cleaning, laundry, and sewing work, and the best-looking ones were taken to the SS brothels. When a concubine became boring or was unable to perform her duties, she was sent to the gas chamber. The average lifespan in the camp did not exceed 2 to 3 months. The crematoria was simply unable to cope. The half-burned corpses were taken to the woods and buried by hand. To this day, especially after rain, mushroom hunters stumble upon the prisoners' half-burned bones a few kilometers from the camp. Punishment. The prisoners themselves, oddly enough, invented their own form of torture. More precisely, the criminals, who were also sent to the camp from Germany, Austria, and other European countries. As a rule, the criminals were appointed by the Germans to head the barracks. In addition, it was no secret that prisoners of these kinds lived in better conditions than Poles, Soviet citizens, and Jews. This is why very often some prisoners turned up around the rubbish bins to take the food which one of the privileged often did not finish eating. The warden and his assistant would catch the unfortunate prisoner, drag him into the barracks, and then the execution would begin. The prisoner's head would be dipped in the bucket of water to muffle his cries, and beaten with a stick until the bones began to make a sound like a rattle. The unfortunate man was then thrown out into the street. Mass exterminations. Stutthof essentially was a conveyor belt for human extermination. Prisoners were poisoned with Zyklon B in gas chambers, and their bodies were burned in several crematoria. Those sentenced to extermination were also infected with typhoid, typhus, and other pathogens, causing mass epidemics in which few survived. There was, of course, famine. Hunger was the worst executioner, often driving people to madness before killing them. Former prisoner Risa Silbert recounted in court gruesome cases of corpse eating, where prisoners for their own salvation resorted to the cannibalism. They would cut them open, take out the liver. This happened every day. Medical experiments. No less terrifying were the medical experiments conducted on the prisoners. Several luminaries of German medicine worked in the camp, whose gruesome experiments sent shivers down the spines of even the most experienced interrogators. The infamous Professor Karl Kloberg carried out experiments in the forced sterilization of women. The executioner in a white coat was searching for the cheapest and easiest way to sterilize women in order to solve the so-called Slavic question, quickly and effectively. Women were exposed X-rays and exposed to various chemicals and surgical procedures. The total number who underwent Kloberg experiments are not known. According to some reports, at least several thousand women were permanently deprived of the possibility of having children as a result of the gruesome experiments. SS Stromberg Karl Wernet, on the other hand, dealt exclusively with the male subject. Wernet was firmly convinced that homosexuality could be cured, and he performed his experiments on prisoners. The cunning executioner promised that his subject would be set free at the end of his experiments, which is why many men would call themselves homosexuals in order to ease their lives in the camp and go to Wermet's laboratory. The executioner was engaged in injecting a kind of male hormone into the genitalia, which was supposed to correct their sick orientation. Nevertheless, the experiments proved unsuccessful, and all the test subjects were sent to the gas chamber. Wernet was also noted for other, no less inhumane experiments. He cut out prisoners' tongues and tonsils and sewed on artificial ones. However, against the expectation of the sadist in the white coat, his transplants did not take root, and the prisoners died of blood poisoning or inflammation. Another experiment carried out on prisoners was mustard gas poisoning. The scientists did not just poison people, but tried to find a correlation between the susceptibility to poison and age, gender, and nationality. The scientists then tried to cure the lucky ones by developing medication for the victims' recovery, which was developing a technology for making soap from human fat. The professor produced a pilot batch consisting of 100 kilograms of soap made from the prisoners' corpses. He developed a horrendous recipe, according to which 10 liters of water and half a kilo to a kilo of caustic soda was taken for every 5 kilos of human fat. The infernal solution was then boiled for 2 hours, and after it had cooled down, the soap was further processed. It was boiled again with salt, soda, and water. Benzaldehyde was used to kill the unpleasant smell. It was only the 21st century, by the way, that scientists were able to prove that the soap found in Stuttgart actually contained human fat. Finally, Stutthof became a raw material base for leather, stripped from prisoners' bodies and dressed for further processing. Tuvia Friedman, the Polish Nazi investigator hunter, wrote about Spanner's laboratory. We had the feeling that we had been in hell. One room was filled with naked corpses. Another room was stacked with boards on which were stretched the skins taken from many people. While placing sentries around this documentary evidence of Nazi barbarism, we discovered a much smaller structure. We burst in there too and almost immediately discovered an oven in which the Germans were experimenting and making soap using human fat as the raw material. Christmas. Even in humane condition, however, the prisoners celebrated Christmas in secret. Incredibly, they gave each other presents made from dried grass and food, and even sent greeting cards. Although Christmas festivities were initially held in secret, the camp authorities decided to put up a Christmas in 1944. A prisoner was immediately hung from this tree. When the liberators approached, the prisoners were evacuated or executed. By the time the troops entered the camp, 150 people remained in it.